And hello, everybody. Whoa! Where did you come from?
Okay.
Well, no, it's just I don't know why I'm looking down. I guess I'm trying to be as if it's like the Brady Bunch. Like, hello. Yeah, because Owen's back.
I'm back.
Ugh.
Hopefully you guys and girls out there miss me. And you are in very capable hands of Ashley and AJ controlling this network and doing these last couple podcasts for the award
I'm
season.
I'm so pleased, yet also so annoyed that you missed the experience that was the Golden Globes look at her Twitter feed / live blog. It's just like,
Oh, no, I listened to it.
yeah. No, but like you weren't there actually live, sort of thing. Like, you know, here's an award. Oh, wait, here's another. Can we get a break, please?
No, I was doing a lot of things actually when I was in California. So I also have seen 4 new movies.
Oh,
Technically speaking, saw 5 new movies, but 4 new awards movies in the time that I was gone. So there's that. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the guilds. Just the other day, pretty much in succession, even though it took multiple hours in between, we broke all 3 right then and there. I got a lot to talk about based on that. So, welcome to yet another awards podcast here on the Popcast Network. My name is Owen. Joining me as always, we have Ashley.
just it's getting closer and closer to the day where the brine might be going in my gullet because of Jared bloody Leto. I'm counting the days. Damn it.
I really don't think that's going to be a thing. We shall see. Also joining us as always, we have AJ.
Yeah, it's the thing what we say a lot of years where it's like if we didn't do the predictions thing and didn't have like some little bit of pride on the line, this would be a really exciting year where we'd say, "Oh man, I love how exciting and unpredictable this year is."
Mm-hmm.
But because we got to do the prediction thing, it's stressful.
It makes us like things that we never thought we would like. It makes us dislike things that we never wanted to just because they're not jiving with our predictions.
Or there's the middle ground where it's something so relentlessly mediocre that you can't possibly imagine how it'd be doing so well guild wise, despite one of the 3 of us being a really big fan of it. And I mean, when you want to talk about relentlessly mediocre, people were on his case last year for Trial of the Chicago 7, which I actually really, really like. If you want to talk about Sorkin being able to be as mediocre as humanly possible, while somehow still getting a couple of really big guild nominations and that big SAG showing that really shouldn't be happening whatsoever, that's where we are this year. This sometimes things can be really great, like Dune hitting practically everything, and other times we have being the Ricardos, being where it is right now, and that really doesn't sit well with me. Pretty much in the same way. How I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I've had this built up ever since they came out. It's just I open my mouth and hear it. Okay.
And then there's
um,
Matt.
And yeah, like you were saying though, how you brought up House of Gucci. I guess it's worth mentioning.
Okay.
Yeah, after SAG, it was like, oh shit, House of Gucci's in this now. Oh shit, House of Gucci's getting a picture nomination. Oh shit, where did House of Gucci come back from? But then after SAG, it all stopped again. I don't know what's happening. I feel like I'm losing my mind though. So yeah, like we were saying, it's very fun if you're not doing the predictions thing. So
Absolutely. Once again, welcome to chat. We have Brian and Josephine in here. So Brian says, I've seen some early 2010 movies since the last podcast. Selma, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, Anna Karenina, Flight, The Wolf of Wall Street, The Great Gatsby, Gone Girl, The Fighter, The Hobbit, And next for me, Silver Linings Playbook, but not tomorrow because of tomorrow's podcast. Thank you for having your priorities straight, Brian.
We beat out David O. Russell, thank God.
David O. Russell's American Hustle.
I'm not going down with a ship like that ever again. I will say right now, if you don't recall, when we did the Oscar podcast a while back, I named Silver Linings Playbook as my favorite film of the 2010s. So, for lots of reasons.
Obviously, we obviously there's what's going on, but I would like to know like some condensed thoughts from him on The Wolf of Wall Street, at least. Like a few of those were worth mentioning.
Yeah, I see most of them with one big one, obviously, that I would stress that does not need to exist. But thank you, GoPro footage.
Well, some people get on its case for just being like an in the moment Oscar movie that people have kind of forgotten about. I rewatched it maybe a year and a half ago. I still really love The Fighter too. I know I literally just kind of shot on David O. Russell for a second, but The Fighter I still really really love, and that Bale performance is still like one of the most deserved wins of that past decade.
I remember when we were talking about The Fighter here on the network, and we kept bringing up Melissa Leo, and we're the ones that weren't surprised when it happened. I went to bat for The Fighter. I really did. A lot of those movies I actually went to bat for, to be quite honest. So let's see. Josie says, "Hey, Popcast, just finished reading the novel Power of the Dog. It was really good. I'm reading Thief of Always by Clive Barker now."
Oh, nice. I would love to read The Power of the Dog, but I can't get my hands on that fucking thing to save my life.
You blame that jabroni in Vienna that just for some reason won't bring the book back.
I mean, at least over here, the Amazon Kindle version is like 99 pence. They're like milking the hell out of it. It's like, it's now a Netflix movie. Please read. Just don't.
Josie.
Also, please read the book that is the. Oh, what is that weird one? The Mermaid Daughter thing?
The King's Daughter?
The King's Daughter. The book is actually really good, apparently. The film?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Well...
Okay, we don't talk about crap movies right now unless they're running for the Oscar. Now, or believing they're going to. I'm looking at you, Nightmare Alley. Anyway.
Wow.
Josie saw.
Yeah. Hold on. I just gotta draw. Now that you brought it up, I gotta mention something because based on what you said and Ashley's reaction, I've got to bring this up because it kind of struck me the other day as well. So, Owen, you have this thing that I've noticed for quite some time now. I even remember the first movie I noticed this happen to. It was Quantum of Solace.
Oh, that movie sucks.
But here's what happens is we will come out of a movie and it'll be okay or underwhelming or it'll be like, oh, that movie was okay. This is the kind of stuff I kind of wish they'd have done. This is what I maybe would have fixed, but I did like this stuff and I did like that stuff and so on. And then it'll be like the next day, and if the movie gets brought up, Owen will say, that was straight garbage. We were talking about Nightmare Alley and how, like, literally, right after we had seen Nightmare Alley, we were on the phone, and we were like, yeah, I don't know. And then the next time we talked about Nightmare Alley, you said Nightmare Alley's straight garbage, and it's like, oh, so that's how it settled in your mind. Okay, because sometimes when movies settle, they'll go one direction or another. And I love the trap door that you have sometimes for movies.
Okay. It's like Sip and Snack. It's a snap judgment based on the first reaction I have to drinking something or eating something. Sometimes it grows on me. Sometimes I hate it more. It's the same way with movies.
I just love how the extreme that it can go from one to the other. Just like how I know there's more that I can think of. Some of them have gone the opposite direction. It was Bronson.
Yeah.
When we watched Bronson, we hated it and riffed on it. When we talked about Bronson for the rest of time, we love it.
Absolutely, I could see that 100%.
And it's interesting to me that Nightmare Alley went the other way for you, because I was really surprised when you said it was straight garbage the last time you brought it up.
Yeah, and
It's got.
not something.
I think what threw me off was I definitely wouldn't jump on that because the production values are definitely something of note. But I don't protest your reaction.
Just because I say something's garbage doesn't mean I can't say good things about it. Because you could absolutely no. You could actually outright hate something and still find redeeming qualities to it.
Oh yeah. Hopefully, because that's actually one of the problems with movie discourse lately is how much people just want to say something sucks and then just never talk about it again when it probably has plenty of great qualities in it.
It's like Spectre.
I mean,
Spectre's got the biggest
Yeah.
explosion in cinema history. Rest of it.
Yeah, like when something like this is what I mean where I can relate to you, Owen, is it's like if somebody brings up Spectre, I'll say Spectre can go fuck itself. But if we're actually talking about Spectre, I'll say, oh, wasn't the scene with the Eyes Wide Shut party really great, or wasn't the fight with Batista really great, or whatever. But
yeah.
or the opening scene, for God's sake. But it's
By and large, it's not my favorite, but I can find little things about it. And if I say something sucks, it may suck, but there's still good things about it.
I kind of just hate the fact that discourse is at a place now where we have to explain this. You would think it'd be obvious, but it's not.
Yeah. As we move on, real quick with chat, so Brian says, but Tragedy of Macbeth still not showing. He said he forgot Lincoln. Good movie. I enjoyed that movie greatly.
Yes, very much.
I watched Lincoln on the Disney Fantasy, actually, in the Walt Disney Theater. On like an afternoon one day when I was on the cruise ship. That was kind of cool. Josie watched Casino yesterday on 4K. Really enjoying it, but the disc wigged out towards the end. Maybe it needs to be cleaned.
Also, I noticed you might have missed it because it was slightly before and between. Josephine also saw Flea today and loved it.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up. I will be watching.
Oh, you're seeing it.
I will be watching it soon. I have no idea when. It looks like I'm having a nice triple feature sometime in the very near future. Flea, Encanto, and Jackass Forever.
It sounds like,
Because I can watch Belle here. It's actually playing it at the Universal Theater. At least it was, or it will be. But, I mean, I love the idea of being able to watch an animated documentary, has 7,000 different categories. Disney's Frontrunner, which apparently I'll identify with a lot more than I would anticipate, and Jackass.
Have you ever heard Johnny Knoxville talk about his favorite movies, though?
No, but it would not surprise me if he's a cinephile.
I mean,
Yeah, his favorite movie is Cinema Paradiso.
I think you told me that one time, actually.
And he listens to their soundtracks. Like, that's the music he listens to, his movie soundtracks. And it's like
money on the speed dial. Let's say
if you saw last night's Rumble, you'll see he also likes Chibata's giant chops to the chest. What the hell?
He enjoys the ground and pound. He'll stay late. He'll stay nice and solid for a frog splash, and he'll just take a complete and total ass whipping from AJ Styles.
Yeah.
The only thing that I watched on that thing that was last night or whatever. I don't care. AEW. Anyway, Danhausen. So, Lorraine, welcome back, Lorraine. Hey guys, I'm here. Had to watch the end of this crazy football game. Bengals just won.
What?
Wow.
What?
My manager from Regal back in the day would have absolutely marked out for that statement. I remember this greatly. Josie says, fun fact, the novel A Power of the Dog by Thomas Savage is sort of semi-autobiographical. He was gay, his mother got remarried, and his stepdad/uncle died of anthrax.
That's kind of eerie.
I guess for those that haven't seen the film, spoilers.
I mean, most everybody had access to watching it on a streaming service. I had to find a wonderful theater in LA that had Power of the Dog, The Lost Daughter, and Tick, Tick, Boom playing in one of those Netflix theaters that made news a while back. Netflix basically takes these rundown, old-timey movie theaters. They buy them, they play the Netflix movies, and me and Troy actually had a private viewing of all 3 of those movies at the Bay Theater. And yeah, if you get a chance to check it out, it's outside of LA. Totally recommend. Great success. Brian says Wolf of Wall Street was weird but good, not great, but Decap and Robbie were great in it.
Oh, do not be snubbing Jonah Hill in my presence.
Tell me about it.
That is the performance of that movie, and I will stand by that.
I think you'll find that was the performance of the film.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Go back to those shows. Like, we didn't have like these shows back then, but tell me we didn't talk about that movie on the regular.
That's all I
remember
network. From that film. That's all.
Selma and Gone Girl are great films that make you frustrated in a positive way. I mean, I love Gone Girl. I really do. I love Gone Girl a lot, actually.
I just think unless it's on the Selma front, unless it's something like When They See Us or a documentary, I just think Ava DuVernay's a really underwhelming filmmaker. But that's because like it's obviously Selma's got a great story, but that movie just didn't. Something was missing in it. Like there was some sort of power that wasn't quite in that you could sense was supposed to be there, but it just felt so empty to me.
Yeah,
almost TV movie like.
Yeah, we weren't. It's like it seems like a lot of movies fall into that category, especially like the more baity movies that get a lot of buzz sometimes, and people think it's going to get a lot of buzz, and then it either tapers off or it just runs through the entire run. It just really depends, because there's literally no in between with some of those movies. So, I haven't used this one in a while. Elick would have been better if the main character, Oscar, wasn't autistic. That's a bold move, Cotton. That's all I can say to you right there. AJ's left just...
I was trying to, I haven't seen Extremely Odd and Incredibly Close, I think, since 2011, and I was trying to remember it.
We just called it Elick all the time. It was our inside joke. Anna Karenina looks nice for its costume, production design, cinematography, and score, but it's kind of boring. Kinda?
Yeah.
Extremely boring.
It's definitely a great idea visually, but it's still Anna Karenina.
AJ knows what I mean when I do this.
I do. Oh yeah. I was confused because that's an in-joke that goes back beyond previously to Anna Karenina.
So okay, I'm gonna let you guys and girls out there a little secret ski, because something we have never talked about on here, and if we have, it's probably something I haven't mentioned very much. And I like bringing back old stuff from the past that is not even before Popcast Network was even a thing, before Pop was a thing. I would get so bored during some movies that AJ and I would watch in my old place. I broke out a yo-yo, and I would play with the yo-yo when I got so bored. So yes, I remember greatly using the yo-yo, and one of the ones I definitely remember was the reader, which I absolutely hated.
And it was because the next one was Doubt, and we were like, oh no, is Doubt going to get the yo-yo treatment or not? That was like the big debate going in.
God no, Doubt didn't get the yo-yo treatment. Oh my God, I love that movie. Speaking of movies I love as well, Gatsby was good. Toby and DiCaprio. God, things going slow. Sorry, chat. I gotta get on top of that. Toby and DiCaprio were good. Come on, no love for Carrie? Really, Brian? Come on. The Fighter was good, but I wouldn't give it a Best Picture nomination. Well, you're wrong, but that's okay.
Which one was that?
He says The Fighter shouldn't have gotten nominated for picture.
I'm just trying to work out a very tedious joke here. But did Owen just reveal the divine secrets of the Yo-Yo Brotherhood?
That's a good joke. I
No, but I did stay at Holiday Express last night. And on top of that, I also broke a chair watching shorts in my old place, and we will never forget that. Yes. AJ is getting so much nostalgia from this show tonight. It's not even funny. Comedy for two is still comedy. I can care less at this point. You else who understands it.
We all broke our chairs in unison at Nesta Football Club, though. Never forget. Never forget.
Never forget when I laughed out loud in that theater and the other people looked at me like I had two heads.
Exactly.
Lorraine says, Owen, did you tell AJ and Ashley the story of how you learned about the big SAG snub for my Twitter? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, actually. And if I didn't, I might as well tell it here. So yeah, I found out about some of the SAG snubs from Lorraine's Twitter, and I didn't really know anything. I didn't have any context. I just kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, what the heck? So I had to look into it. I was like, come on, that's not a thing. Why?
By big, is that big SAG snubs in general or a specific snub?
There were specific ones.
As I said, when I think big SAG snub, I think Stewart.
That's one of them, yes. She was talking about Stuart and Ellis both missing. And I'm like, what? And then talking about Blanchett, and I was like, that's not a thing. Don't try to make that a thing. Josie says, Oscar... Go ahead, AJ.
I mean, I don't want to, like, brag and say that somebody might have been predicting that Ellis would miss, but I don't want to say who that person is.
I don't know. I don't know who that person might be. Josie says the Oscar goes to the New England Patriots. Best actor, Tom Brady. Best director, Bill Belichick. Oh, wait, there's been a mistake. The Philadelphia Eagles. You guys won Best Picture. My head is spinning right now, and I'm totally seeing all sorts of weird things. I'm like Homer in the bush right now, going back. I'm like, I don't know anything you're talking about. I know this because of Bill and Ted, and that's it. Brian says, I only liked the second half of Lincoln. Best part of Lincoln was Tommy Lee Jones. Started to be good with the Oscar clip they showed for Tommy. But Oscar is an unlikable character. That's what he's mentioning about Felix.
I remember that being a big criticism.
Let's see. Josie says, sometimes I'm putting away books in the library where I work. When I'm in the children's bio section, I'd like to jokingly imagine some of these books as biopics. One of them being Balloons Over Broadway, the story of the puppeteer for the Macy's Parade. Cue the Brian reference in 3, 2, 1. Brian says, The Desolation of Smaug, thank you, Mike Aiello, speaking of Bill and Ted, was okay, but not good as Unexpected Journey. The Hobbit's my favorite of the Rings series, and it's the only one that I didn't think needed a movie. And I'll stick with that to my dying day. Yeah.
Didn't it have an animated one? Like, around the time of the Lord of the Rings one in the 70s?
Yeah, because I remember, and AJ remember this too, I remember having the VHS copy of it and accidentally recorded over part of it, and they made us buy it.
I remember actually we watched one of those in school, but I can't remember which one. It might have been The Hobbit.
It probably was. That was the one that was universally loved back in the day, and then they turned it into the worst of the Rings movies, which that's saying something, because those things are trash.
I stand by the riddles in the dark scene alone almost entirely makes An Unexpected Journey like worth it.
Two Towers has more taken homes than Terry Funk is retired.
I'm assuming you mean Return of the King.
Right?
Same thing. Doesn't matter. Either way, I was frozen today. Anyway.
Do you want to build a snowman?
I do want a snow cone. That'd be fantastic right now. Josie says, more Bill and Ted reference for the win. My brother loved the book of The Reader and was disappointed with the film adaptation. Stephen Daldry, heart.
Where is that? I need to know where that picture is.
I don't know, but we need to find it.
Yeah, there was. I feel like we need to elaborate on the in jokes to make this have a flow and not alienate. I think that had to have been that season, right? It was either that season or the Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close season. It might have been Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close this season, where it was a picture of an Oscar with a white background, and somebody had written, like, this is what you need to get an Oscar nomination, and one of them was just Stephen Daldry with a heart next to it.
Yep. Gotta love these little in jokes that I haven't used in like 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that joke was referring to the fact that Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close got nominated because it wasn't expected to. It was like really random that it did. and Von Sydow was its only other nomination, which makes it even weirder.
And we're also talking about like stuff like the Ed Harris and the selling oranges on the side of the road, things like that. That's another thing that I don't think I ever brought up either, but we'll get to that eventually. Brian says Flight was great, especially Denzel. I thought another round told me, but no, after seeing Flight, I'm not drinking. That's fair.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. The only thing that drives me crazy about Flight is the fact that I have that vomit phobia.
Oh yeah.
Where I can't even watch South Park because of it. It's that bad. And it pisses me off so much that sequence where he flies the plane upside down is so probably one of the best things Zemeckis has ever done visually, and that's saying something.
Yeah, totally.
And I can't watch it because somebody fucking pukes right before it ends.
Yeah, and to finish chat for now at least, Brian says, I forgot to mention about Lincoln. Daniel Day-Lewis looks good in the makeup, but his performance didn't stand out. It's a very interesting assessment, sir.
I can't respond to that. I'll say hurtful things. I disagree. That's what I'm saying.
Since I'm the one that apparently has to have bedside here, yeah, I concur.
I will never say I hate you to a viewer.
I will say you're entitled to your opinion.
I respectfully disagree with the opinion that you have just put forward. That's the statement.
I always throw out the one, you're entitled to your opinion, ... even though you're wrong. So I've been using that for years. So I mean, might as well continue it. So yeah, like I said before, we put AJ and Ashley in the capable hands of the network for 2 shows, and hopefully you guys and girls out there enjoyed their way of doing things. I'm back here now to just sit here and not really provide any information other than be basically a moderator at this point. But I mean, I've got most of the Oscar movies or potential Oscar movies watched theatrically, which I'm happy for, and there's still a couple that are on the bubble, which I'm not happy about. One of which we've already mentioned, one of which I can guarantee were mentioned before this show's over. But yeah, lots of stuff to talk about tonight. We got the guilds to discuss, and this is not our predictions for the guilds. No. This is just a nomination discussion. We'll have our prediction video coming up soon. And tomorrow, what we've waited all year for, it's our Oscar predictions. 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're trying to shoot for 6. Worst come to worst, might be 6:30, but I will do my absolute best to shoot for 6 because I know we got a lot to do. Long way to go, short time to get there. So, and that's in honor of Smokey and the Bandit coming as the Fathom event this year, which I'm super excited for. Yeah, if that's another thing too. If you want to see classics on the big screen, it's a little pricey, but it's worth every penny. I would always recommend Fathom events. I just watched Casablanca for the 3rd time about a week ago, and it hits every single time. Not necessarily for the reason it did previously, but it's still a phenomenal movie, and it was great being able to see it in a theater again. There's a lot of great stuff. If you want to check it out, cheap plug, fathomevents.com for all the cool stuff that's coming out for the Fathom events this year. If you're able to check one out, that is. So are we going to start with the fact that we have so many things to go. All the guilds, they pretty much dropped in one day. I thought that it was going to be the next day, but apparently what ended up happening is like, oh no, we're gonna get that one at the very end. So all right. Lorraine says, I'm really dragging my feet seeing the last 3 movies on my list. Might just be award season fatigue. Think I might just wait and see what's nominated and finished in. I got 2 right now that I'm worried about. One of which that I never should have let slip away, and one of which that if it goes as deep as people think it's going to, it better get a theatrical release because Owen does not watch movies on his computer if he does not have to. I went to California to avoid this. So we're going to start with our first set of guilds. Ashley, what are we starting with?
Just because it's the more interesting one, because I think it's with what came out of it. It's been revealed to be the most dated. The Writers Guild.
Okay.
The quick thing is, as I quickly go to my other spreadsheet that doesn't actually have the nominations.
What's not eligible?
Yes, that is the big thing for me. I mean, in original, the ineligible candidates include A Hero, Annette, Belfast, Mass, Parallel Mothers, Pig, Worst Person in the World, and Titan, among others. And then in the adapted, No Chance of Power of the Dog, No Chance of Lost Daughter, No Chance of Drive My Car, No Chance of Passing, No Chance of Serrano. Like that, depending on what else, even though I don't think they all make it in, like Serrano, Drive My Car, Passing, Lost Daughter, and Power of the Dog could be a 5 in itself for writing. And all are considered not good because the best one is with Campion. She was a member of the WGA, but the membership lapsed. So, yeah, you're not considered.
Well, I was saying also, since they're like a really good indicator of adapted, we might as well lump USC Scripter into this as well,
Oh yeah, for sure.
which basically went for the ineligible ones plus Dune and Macbeth.
I have to bring that up now.
My two horses in the race.
I have to bring up the list of the USC scripter.
I didn't even look at Scripter actually.
Yeah, it's Dune, The Lost Daughter, Passing, Power of the Dog, and Macbeth.
Oh, do they just combine it all? They don't do adapted and original? Or...
I think they're just like an adapted thing. I think that's all they are. But like you more often than not, whatever wins them wins adapted. It's like a really strong pattern.
Adapted,
I don't think it's a flawless one, but it's not a flawless pattern, but it's a very, very, very strong one.
Mm-hmm.
Which means the Power of the Dog will probably get it. So there's that.
Josie says, "I'm so happy French Dispatch is nominated to WGA.
Yeah.
Same. Would be happy if that or Licorice Pizza wins. Same. 100%. I would like to see Coda win WGA adapted."
Well, there is a thing where we can say, like I would say PTA is the front runner of original at the guild, and as I pull this up real quick, okay, they're not being a front runner for adapted at WGA, but remember was it 2018 when they just went really crazy and gave it to Bo Burnham?
Yeah, that was strange.
I think Can You Ever Forgive Me was the other one they went with, which was not a front runner by any means. So it was like, I always wonder now if they're just going to kind of, if we'll have this year where like the guilds just go completely rogue sometimes.
And to some extent, they've also gone rogue on even the writing. Because at least with the previous ones for Writers Guild of America for documentary, at least one of the ones that's either won or at least been nominated is in with a it's in the Oscar list. From what I can tell, all three contenders, being Cousteau, Exposing Muybridge, and Like a Rolling Stone, The Life and Times of Ben Fong Torres, none of them are in the Oscar 15 or 10, whatever. Which is a bit odd.
I have to make the Almost Famous reference when I hear the name Ben Fong Torres. That's the first time I've heard that name since Almost Famous. So
yeah, it's an interesting one that we don't have that actually one that's going to go through. Obviously, we've got ones in other categories, which we'll get to.
Sure.
That are going up in all of it. But normally, Writers also has one that is in there. So the fact that none of them are, it's a bit different, shall we say. It doesn't give any help as to what may make it in, regardless of
right.
other ones being in. So yeah, I I still think it's, at least with adapted, Coda, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Tick Tick Boom, and West Side Story is good. It's not great. I think, if anything, Nightmare Alley and West Side Story to some extent seem the ones that I personally wouldn't feel comfortable to go in there.
Yep.
But then with the other ones missing, I wonder whether Tick Tick Boom or I think the only lock in there that could carry over to the Oscars is probably Coda, because it's that up in the air of what else gets a chance.
Yeah, because all season I've been on the fence about this Kushner thing, but there's been something. I guess we could just mention something, kind of overarching about all the Guild nominations we've seen. This almost war that's going on with Tick Tick Boom and West Side Story, where it's like, are they only gonna want to really go in on, like, it's very likely that West Side Story and Tick Tick Boom will both get picture nominations.
Yeah.
And their acting nominations and all that. But obviously Spielberg's more likely than Miranda and director. But I mean, as far as like when you get back into the tech categories and how things will add up, if they're gonna want to like only go in hard on one musical or not. Since we're not in like the 50s anymore, when it was all the rage to give musicals just fucking everything. Um, like, because I kept looking at some of the tech stuff when we were doing the predictions for tomorrow, and it's like there are some cases where it's like I don't know. I could just see them thinking they'd only want to go for one musical at a time, and it's like, in which cases are they going to go West Side Story? In which cases are they going to go Tick Tick Boom? And it feels like West Side Story's taken a lot of hits lately.
Yeah.
Like, almost West Side Story is not the massive juggernaut it was around the time that it came out, which obviously is a typical thing. But I mean, West Side Story looked really solidified there for a while as like a top 2 or 3 contender, and I feel like it's taken some hits lately. And if that's because of Tick Tick Boom, or like we were talking about before about older voters being like me and being more attached to the original movie. And the argument that I had was that they'll see West Side Story and they'll see Tick Tick Boom, and if this is a big if, by the way, if they're saying I only prefer one musical, they'll go for the musical they haven't seen yet, that they're seeing for the first time, which would be Tick Tick Boom. But it's hard to say. But I just feel like I feel like I'm losing confidence in West Side Story, but then I almost feel like I'm being naive to lose confidence in West Side Story, and these thoughts are combating, and I don't know what to do with myself because of West Side
It's
Story.
always that issue, because we know that Hollywood likes nostalgia. But like, if it is like a remake of a classic, does it get the sort of same treatment? You can't consider the original Dune a classic because of all the backstory of the mess of what it was in terms of production. Um, Obviously it still has its fan base and everything, but like, West Side Story is a sort of completely different level to some extent. Um, I can't compare it to Death on the Nile because I don't know how many people actually saw Death on the Nile back in the 70s. But whether we'll get that same thing, we sort of got it, I guess, with Murder on the Orient Express. I guess because that got well received. Because that was nominated, the original one, for Oscars, right? I think.
Finney got for the original Murder on the Express, or you're talking about the Albert Finney version of Murder on
Yeah.
the Express. Yeah, he got nominated for actor, and Bergman won supporting actress.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. Because I was thinking also, um, when you see West Side Story, it's West Side Story, the
Yeah.
end. when you see Tick Tick Boom, the people in this industry, there's got to be, and it's anybody that has really, 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 really worked to get into the industry or try to get into the industry will relate to Jonathan Larson.
Oh God, yes.
And a cynical part of me is saying, but a lot of people that are in the industry didn't work to get into the industry. They got escorted into the industry. But but for the people that like had to start from below and try to get into the industry, those people are going to really relate to Tick Tick Boom in a really big way.
Mm-hmm.
I know because I'm not there yet, and I see Jonathan Larson, it's like, holy shit, it's me. I hope I don't die soon. Not to be insensitive, that's a genuine concern.
Which is probably why La La Land connected.
Unfortunately. Well. No, oh, Owen, that's another one of those movies for me. I like La La Land, but as soon as somebody brings La La Land up to me, fuck that shit. I hate that shit. Fuck off.
Still wish I would have turned the TV off that day. Anyway, Josie says Power of the Dog novel and film for the most part are very close, but the book is a couple of extra details. Brian says they went with Borat last year. Yeah, it's true.
I heard that the Power of the Dog thing. I heard that I think I heard that Phil wasn't as, I don't know if I want to say three-dimensional in the book, but I heard he's more cruel in the book, I think. I think I heard that. I'm not sure, but and like it was the movie that kind of made him almost a bit more layered.
Josie says, I find it interesting how Dune and Licorice Pizza made across all four of the guilds, including PGA, DGA, WGA, ACE, not to mention ADG, Set Decorators, and SAG, if you count Dune's Stunt Nod. I can say the same thing for Tick Tick Boom if you want to count Best First Director for Miranda. Which Brian says we got the BAFTA nominations on Friday, Oscar nomination ballots in Tuesday. And Josie says, Ann Thompson from IndieWire Screen Talk mentioned that many Academy members she spoke to over Christmas break are resistant to rewarding West Side Story. AJ, congratulations. You were correct. I see how that would be a problem.
It's not that I want to see West Side Story fail. It's just that it really didn't bring anything else. And just like the Cinematography Guild, let's bring that up.
Okay.
What is that? That's Belfast, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and Macbeth. I mean, here's what I say a lot early in the season is to not jump on something immediately until the guilds have spoken.
Of course.
Because people say like, "Oh, it got a Globe nomination. That means it's happening." Or it's in Critics' Choice. That means I don't know who these people are, but they're out there and they're scary.
I don't want to wait on them anymore. I don't have to. Thankfully.
Just like this whole thing about how, for some reason, people are calling Kidman the front runner right now, and I feel like the only thing you can base that on is her Globe win. But it's like we were talking about before. If the industry is really that resistant to the Globes, why are they going to jump on Kidman just because the Globes set her? Like, what kind of an indicator even is that? And if anything, it's like we were saying, if they go for what the Globes went for, they'll just be validating the Globes again. So it's almost like if we start seeing them go for that, it's like how fake was this boycott for the Globes really? So that's, yeah. But what I was saying about cinematography, that was all a roundabout way to say I don't typically like to say this about the guilds because it never works out that way. But I mean, I feel like the Cinematography Guild with Belfast, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and Macbeth, that's it. And that comes back to the fact that I feel like West Side Story would have been easily in here before. But when I see those five, I feel strongly it's those five. So that's a whole lot of theories surrounding that.
That's a literal conversation for tomorrow.
Got the pinboard and doing all the strings. Like, what's going on?
Oh, that's a thing. What about La Famille Bellier, the original film that Coda was based on? If you go with West Side Story,
I don't know how close they are. But I don't know that I knew that movie existed before Coda, so I don't know how popular it even is. If that's what we're talking, is that what we're talking about as far as like them saying like, "Oh, we've seen this before"?
That's what it seems like he's mentioning. Yes.
Because everybody's fucking seen West Side Story. Compared to the movie that Coda's based on, I would imagine.
Yeah, I could see that being an issue. So, Writers Guild pretty much done the party on that. Do you want to talk about television at all, or are we just going to leave that completely off?
Was just before I get to that, I was just going to mention, because Bri put it in chat, he did, the dates aren't exactly correct. So, from what I can tell, the BAFTA Rising Star is going to get announced on Tuesday, which is the same day as the nomination ballot thing closes for the Oscars. And then the BAFTA nomination reveals will be really early in the morning for you in America on Thursday, the 3rd. Not Friday as Bride, but you know, at least that's according to BAFTA's own long list that they promoted, you know, or put out, sorry, a few weeks back. Also, because I know, I guess I might mention it tomorrow, considering what I'm probably putting in supporting actress. I will give a prediction tomorrow into who I think will be in the British, you know, the Rising Star thing. Not that it counts towards anything, but you know, I think I got it pretty accurate. I got Moffat Clark last year, and I was adamant that she was going to get nominated. Win, of course, because it's all fixed. So on the television front,
I was gonna say.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll let you guys decide. I don't think we need to, because I know. Oh, and I know you're completely blind to TV. Murray Bartlett got his SAG nomination. That's the only thing I was passionate about as far as TV goes. Like TV's basically, I'm basically completely done with TV now. So I'll leave it to you guys if you want to go into TV or not.
Well, I'm pleased to see Taika Waititi get a nomination for new series for Reservation Dogs. Loki getting some recognition as well, because I think that was pretty well received. And then Yellow Jackets as well on Showtime, getting in for drama series and new series. And of course, Mike White getting a writing nod for White Lotus as well.
Nice.
Amongst other things. And then the long form adapted looks convoluted because it's Holston, American Crime Story Impeachment, Maid, Underground Railroad, and WandaVision. That's a pretty clustered list on that front. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in gaming as well. Oh, there isn't. There is promotional writing for trailers for CSI Vegas. Okay. I didn't need to know that, but now I do. Right, should we switch over to directors then?
Yeah, we'll go into DGA now.
So, I guess the key thing to note, even though we won't be paying attention to this, Spike Lee's getting the Lifetime Achievement.
Deservedly so.
So in terms of the actual movie front, I'll have to... I love the fact, I've just noticed this. For drama series in television, Succession is in all 5 nomination spots for 5 different directors. Wow. To be fair, Ted Lasso got 3 of the 5 comedy ones, although Mike White for the White Lotus as well, specifically for the Mysterious Monkeys episode. Was that the best one, AJ, or doesn't it matter? They were all good.
I wasn't paying attention to the episode titles. I have no idea.
So, first time feature. Pretty big list in all honesty. Maggie Gyllenhaal for Lost Daughter, Rebecca Hall for Passing, Tatiana Hueso for Prayers for the Stolen, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Tick Tick Boom, Michael Sanoski for Pig, and Emma Seligman for Shiva Baby.
That Shiva Baby has a guild nomination this major is one of the best things to happen this season. just that to put it that simply. Are we assuming this is Gyllenhaal to lose? I know we're not predicting yet, but I don't know where else this gets to go.
I think.
I mean, obviously, I want Miranda. Since Shiva Baby is likely just happy to be nominated, my wish would be Miranda, but I feel like there's a very strong narrative for Gyllenhaal. But then again, we've seen things like this falter, like how Cooper in 2018 for A Star Is Born still lost this after his snub.
Yeah, but it was Bo Burnham for 8th grade.
Yeah.
So it's not like Bad Thing beat it or anything.
Just very confusing that they just threw everything they had at Bo Burnham except the Oscar nomination, which is still weird in retrospect.
As long as he keeps mopping up for the Inside Show, which he is up for Directors Guild as well, and I think Writers Guild as well for the one-off special. For me, I think it's a 4-horse race. I think like Gyllenhaal, Miranda are like tier 1, and the ones that I could also see winning are probably Rebecca Hall for Passing and Sarnowski for Pig.
Yeah, if it's one of those years where they just decide to go random.
Plus, of course, I'm guessing because of the number that we've got here, we must have had a tie somewhere in order to get 6 rather than 5.
I would assume that was Shiva Baby and Prayers for the Stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think?
That makes sense.
Well, considering my staggered system, yeah.
because there's always the I mean, obviously this is first feature, so it's not like some big indicator, but it puts a question in the back of your head if this helps Prayers for the Stolen in getting in foreign or not, or international. But once again, we'll cross that bridge tomorrow.
Okay.
So then with the documentaries, we have Jessica Kingdom for Ascension, Stanley Nelson Jr. for Attica, Raoul Peck for Exterminate All the Brutes, Amir Questlove Thompson for Summer of Soul, and Jimmy Chin and Elizabeth Chai Vasahal for Rescue. I mean, the two obvious contenders are there. Having a quick look. So, Exterminate All the Brutes is HBO. And Ascension is The Pursuit of the Chinese Dream Through the Social Classes, Prioritizing Productivity and Innovation. I don't think they appear in the... Hang on, I need to have a quick look. Okay, no, I think all 5 are in the list. Oh no, Exterminate All the Brutes isn't. The other 4 do feature in the documentary 15.
I went on a documentary watching spree this past week, but I'm careful with what I talk about because it's hard to do this because I don't know how much to talk about now and how much with tomorrow's video and how it's like they're gonna bleed together pretty much.
All right.
I'm trying to see what the details of Attica are. You know, just in case I do need to. 5-day prison rebellion in summer of 1971. Apparently. Also, confusingly, there's a documentary on YouTube about it. It's a Showtime deal, apparently. Right.
So
go ahead, AJ. Go, Owen. There. Long night.
take a shot, major PBR. Brian says, not to mention Spencer, take a shot, mention Spencer is really underperforming. Yeah, it sucks.
I heard that Stewart missing SAG and Spencer missing the Costume Guild might as well be a death blow at this point. I mean,
I'd say so.
They're still BAFTA, but that's the thing is it's like BAFTA's the one that's most likely to love Spencer, but BAFTA's also the one most likely to hate Spencer. Which one is it going to be?
Speaking of that,
I'm trying to have a quick look at the costume thing. Go ahead.
I'm just going to go ahead and talk while you do that. Succession filled in all the DGA nominations for drama series. You mentioned that a minute ago. Josie says, I think it's so stupid how at DGA all 5 of the directing slots went to Succession. I don't like how on the TV side of the awards, excuse me, good Lord, I was trying to hold that back. It wasn't possible, I guess. I don't like how on the TV side of the awards, they award writing and directing on the episode rather than the whole series. Brian says, I don't know who gets that 5th slot depending on the BAFTAs. Is it Hamaguchi or Sorrentino? I can see DeCournau getting in on the BAFTAs, but not for the Oscars, because it's in the levels of Hereditary and The Lighthouse being an effed up movie. But if neither Hamaguchi nor Sorrentino get BAFTAs, the one I'm kind of considering is Cian Heder for Coda, because the DGA lineup is not going to be your Oscar lineup. One has to go. Yeah, we're pretty positive on that one. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Her name is Sean Hader. I had to look that up.
How am I supposed to know that?
That's what I'm saying. I had to look it up. So. But yeah, that's what I was saying before was the DGA nominees are giving me serious 2017 vibes. Where it was Del Toro, McDonough, Nolan, Peele, and Gerwig, and it was like, yep, that's the 5 for sure. There's no way there's going to be a change, but there's always a change. Yeah, no matter how severe it looks, there's always a change. And I've been on this Hamaguchi thing for like the last couple of videos we've done, but the big question now is if that's what happens, who is it? Who's gone? But once again, that's tomorrow's conversation, so I don't know what to say.
Just a list of them. The DGA nominees are PTA for Licorice Pizza, Brad for Belfast, Campion for Power of a Doog, Spielberg for West Side Story, and Denis Villeneuve for Dune.
Don't want to. I'm ready to say something. But I don't want to jinx anything. I do not want to jinx anything. I'm not going to jinx. I am not going to jinx my horse in this race again. I am not going to. I will just say I'm very happy Villeneuve's here. Because remember, I said something in like the last video that I really, really didn't want to say. And with the way things have been rolling, my only concern is what if this is Nolan in 2010 again, is my only concern. Except for the fact that Nolan hadn't gotten his first nomination yet when Inception came out, whereas Villeneuve's already in the club at this point after his nomination for Arrival. So I hope this isn't a case. I do hope that this is like a Fury Road scenario. If anything, this would like outdo Fury Road's performance if it can get that screenplay nomination, which would be amazing. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that I'm very happy, and I'm not to say like, oh, I'm completely changing what I said in that last video, and it's like, oh, it's definitely happening, because I'm not gonna jinx my horse in the race. I'm just gonna say I'm very happy that Villeneuve and his movie have done as well as they have, guild-wise, at this particular moment, and that's it.
Josie says, I don't like the idea of Kristen Stewart getting snubbed for Spencer. But if it's at the expense of Alana Haim and Renee Renshive, I'm all for it. Well, We'll see. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
It's just so weird to be at this point where we're talking about where we might as well say assuming Stewart doesn't make it. That feels weird coming out of my mouth after everything we've done this season.
Tell me
I didn't
about it.
really, I especially look dumb because it was either Globe or Critics' Choice where I did the whole, or probably both, where we were doing our predictions, and I did that thing where I said, "Okay, does anybody have the balls to not go for Stewart? Because Stewart's obviously going to take this."
Oh boy.
This is
In
where we are now.
retrospect, yeah.
And yeah, like you were saying, Sack could have just been weird, but Spencer's guild performance is really fucking it.
Extremely troublesome if you're a fan of the movie.
I remember when I was convinced that Pablo Larraín was really, really in this because I was like, how could he not be? But yeah, I would say, like we were talking about before, that coldness that it has, because that's why I didn't care for Spencer. But I don't know. It's we're in a really weird place suddenly because I don't know how much. I don't know. I don't know how much I want to go on this whole Gaga thing because House of Gucci's being really confusing right now.
All over the place.
But at the same time, like I was saying, I could see Gaga being like Lawrence in Joy, where it's like she gets in and it's like, oh, I guess they went with her after all because where she almost feels like a default choice rather than like a choice of passion. Not to say that there isn't passion behind Lady Gaga in general, because of course there is, but yeah, I don't know. We're at a point now where people, for some reason, think Kidman's the front runner just because she has the fucking globe. So,
It's
well,
visibility. That's the only thing that I can say at this point.
and I know that's only because people were saying that before PGA happened. I get why people might be saying it now after PGA, but still.
We'll get to PGA in a second, but first, Brian says the only thing we know about that's in is Campion. I think PTA is pretty solidified at this point.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I said this season was go for fucking PTA because he got in for Phantom Thread, which should have been extremely alienating for the kind of movie that it is, and now he's made a really warm and fuzzy movie, and it's like they're gonna go PTA. Like if you bet,
Okay.
like I'm gonna regret this, but if you go against PTA, you're in an interesting headspace.
Well, see, the thing I don't worry about AJ saying this because I know AJ does not have Licorice Pizza as his horse in the race. So if he says good things about it, it's not going to jinx it because it's not his horse in the race. It's my horse in the race. So we'll get to that tomorrow. Speaking of PGA, let's get into that.
Yeah, so the special awards of note. Rita Moreno's getting the Stanley Kramer Award. And then the Milestone Award goes to George Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy for selling to Disney.
I'm sure there's a specific group of people that must be really happy to hear that.
I do want to mention
when you said Kathleen Kennedy's name, a certain Obi-Wan Kenobi line came to mind.
That same line also came to my head when I saw for Outstanding Children's TV Program, Harry Potter Hogwarts Tournament of Houses is somehow in here, despite nearly everybody saying it was rubbish.
Yeah, because I have a lot of friends that are huge Potter marks that should be on that show, and they did not even get consideration. So yeah, F that show.
And then also because this will become critical for one of the other guild things that we'll talk about, but they actually have streamed or televised motion pictures in the television category. Not that it affects anything for this one, because the nominees were 8-Bit Christmas, Come From Away, Oslo, Roman Owen Roberts presents Mahalia, Single All the Way, and Tom Petty's Sometimes You Feel Free, The Making of Wildflowers on the YouTube. 8-Bit Christmas is somehow in there. I mean, it's just an 80s version of A Christmas Story. Okay? Why don't you just watch Christmas Story?
It's literally a Christmas Story and Jingle All the Way put together.
Yeah.
Which might sound questionable. 8-Bit Christmas is a lot better than it was probably supposed to be.
So then we get really crazy with the main three, because Documentary randomly goes up to 8 for documentary production. I think the last one it was 5, so I had to change stuff on my Excel spreadsheet. So the 8 contenders are Ascension, The First Wave, Flee, In the Same Breath, The Rescue, Simple as Water, Summer of Soul, and Writing with Fire. Of which I think all 8 are in the 15. Let's double check.
Yeah, a lot of those are things I watched this week, so they probably are.
Yes. Yes. They all are. All 8.
That's interesting about The First Wave and In the Same Breath, since they're the same movie from 2 different perspectives. They're literally the First Wave and In the Same Breath are Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. That's exactly what it is.
I sort of understand that. Which, considering Matthew Heineman's previous history of like doing war documentaries, that makes sense.
I mean, obviously they're both about, COVID, but it's that whole different perspectives thing.
Yeah, the one obviously being sort of more from the hospital side, and then the other from the governmental control. So it's sort of like the management of the pandemic and the people at the front line having to deal with it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of because In the Same Breath is like half the hospital stuff. A lot of it's the cover-up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas The First Wave is mostly focused on patients and stuff like that. But it's still, and then it goes into the George Floyd stuff with about 20 minutes left. But doesn't feel like it's neither one of those feel like they're diverting away. So it's like you get like the whole picture from both of them. But I'm still imagining one will be more successful than the other. But once again, that's another tomorrow conversation.
Then I want to say that this is tomorrow's conversation, but it is a trend that the 5 contenders for the motion picture animated variety are Encanto, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Row, and The Last Dragon Sing 2. Because spoilers, that's pretty much the 5 for nearly all the other guilds that relate to the animated category. Nobody else gets a chance.
Well, I got two things here. One's a comment, one's a question. Comment is obviously the Academy loves their G-Kid stuff, so one of these is vulnerable. As far as which one is vulnerable is where my question comes in. What the fuck do people see in the Sing movies? They are an album of celebrities covering pre-existing songs that they have just put generic animation over. Both times. Are you aware? And it's so important to them. It's so important to them that it's pre-existing songs that they perform that they put no effort into, because that's what the director does. His scripts for the Sing movies are the lyrics of the songs written out. That's what the script looks like. I've seen the fucking thing. But here's the thing: this one has
the only original one is you too, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Are you ready for this? Nobody performs that song. No, none of the character. And Bono, listen to this. Bono plays a character in the movie that sings, and he doesn't sing that song. It plays when they're leaving Vegas. What, what do people see in the Sing movies? I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. It's got like a fucking Sing 2 has like a fucking 7 something on IMDb. For IMDb scores, that's high. That's really, really high. And Sing 2 is showing up everywhere in this now. It's all over the fucking like visual effects guild too. Can anybody please tell me what people see in the Sing movies? I really need to figure this out.
I mean, I'm just trying to double check. Are the Sing films the worst Illumination has put out?
God, no. Not even close.
I'm trying to
But
look,
I just
I'm trying to look at the list of the films.
It's the laziness. It's literally celebrity cover songs with animation over them. That's all they are. There's nothing else to them. There's no effort. They're putting on a show. That's the fucking plot both times. That's
This is what we have to deal with when Minions gets delayed by like 3 years.
yeah.
We've got to put stuff in between instead because. I forgot Illumination did Hop because I thought that was live action.
It mostly is.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's James Marsden's thing for some reason.
It's not an animated film. Yeah, I mean, the problem is like, I'm trying to look at the. Obviously, there'll be more analysis tomorrow, but I'm just gonna have a quick look again at like the list of the other contenders as like who might get in here. Where is animated feature?
If Sing 2 takes a slot, I mean, I know I'm not usually that passionate about animated movies, even though we do have a pretty strong group here for sure. But I mean, if Sing 2 gets a slot, I don't understand. Because even the first one didn't.
They didn't shortlist animated, so I've got to go to BAFTA.
The submission list didn't seem that as long as it usually does.
Yeah,
like the submission list looks like a short list.
Well, I mean, I put Ron's Gone Wrong above Sing 2. So yeah, that'd be. But it's just, I guess the problem is, like has been talked about in the stream previously, just that dominance of Disney. More so than usual, just because they were the ones that were actually putting the stuff out, whereas the others, I guess, had delays due to COVID things and whatever.
Yeah, I actually watched. I got distracted. I probably just watched Macbeth for the 50th time instead. But I watched the first half of Ron's Gone Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately, as soon as Ron's Gone Wrong started, my first thought was, "Isn't this basically the Mitchells versus the Machines?" Those movies both have like the same beginning.
Yeah, to some extent, I see what you mean, but it's like I'm trying to work out because I think Sing 2 could easily get ditched for an independent, film.
I mean, I'm assuming it's Belle.
I think that and Flea, of which I'm trying to work out which Disney one do they get rid of. It obviously is going to be Encanto, so it's going to be between Raya and Luca.
I would think Luca is the most vulnerable, because it's the one that's like Luca almost feels so low profile. I don't know if it's because it didn't get a theatrical release or because the plot is so like simple compared to the rest. I don't know, but that's what I like about Luca, but I could see it like not standing out as much because of that too.
Also, could the I know it didn't affect Sao last year, but the just dumping on Disney Plus could hurt it. Whereas obviously the other two did get cinema releases.
Yeah, good. Obvious. Flea's obvious, like a really obvious choice also, but that's another thing I'll go into tomorrow. I basically just showed my hand there bringing up Belle, so we'll get more. I'll explain that more tomorrow, though.
Then to... Hang on. Where am I going? Yeah. To the 10.
Hold on. Chat. Lots and lots of chat.
Good.
Then we'll go into the 10. Brian says, take a shot. Speaking of Phantom Thread, it missed PGA, did so well at BAFTAs and the Oscars. What if Macbeth is this year's Phantom Thread? That would depend on BAFTA.
Fingers fucking crossed, man. Don't let me down, BAFTA, please.
I think BAFTA... the biggest shot I think that it definitely is of getting a nomination because of the British queue is arguably Hunter.
God, we're asking. Oh shit, we're asking. We're depending on BAFTA for a Denzel movie. That's not good at all.
No, it's not. That's horribly bad.
Shit. No, this is the worst scenario.
Brian says, on the animated side, what if Mitchell's versus the Machines is Lego Batman?
I have this. I don't know if it's fucking. I don't know if it's Globe messing with me, but I keep having this thing in the back of my head, like if Mitchell vs. Machines is vulnerable for some reason, and I can't explain why. Because there's not. I don't know. For some reason, if it misses, I won't be surprised, and I can't articulate why.
Josie says, speaking of documentaries, Fire of Love, a volcano documentary at Sundance, got picked up by National Geographic. Favorite movie set
on Disney Plus.
Brother. Favorite movie set at a hospital.
The Hospital with George C. Scott's the obvious choice. That's amazing. That's a really good question.
My default answer is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It's technically a movie to me because I just watch all 6 episodes of one in a loop. So
I guess I have to answer this as well. Let me do a little look-ski and see if I can find out an answer. I don't think I have one.
I cheated. I literally just googled a movie set at a hospital because I'm just drawing a blank on everything.
The obvious choice, I guess, even though it isn't set fully at the hospital, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, that's a good one that comes to mind immediately too. Hold on, see if there's another answer to that. I don't think I have another answer. No, that sounds about right.
MASH?
I would say that technically counts.
Yeah, it's a war hospital. You know.
This list on Wikipedia I'm looking at counts it apparently.
Anybody can put stuff on Wikipedia.
Well, no, those are the two that sort of come to mind in terms of like they're predominantly set at hospitals.
I'm looking at see if I have a list here. Hold on, I'll see if I can find one that I actually can answer.
But yeah, I'm not even being disingenuous. Like the Hospital with George C. Scott is amazing, and you have to see it.
I don't think I have one. Yeah, I'm terrible at these things. Lorraine, there you go. I like this, Lorraine. Halloween 2 is my favorite movie set at a hospital.
Immediately, just assume. I'm not, like... I love, like, Halloween in general. I was never the biggest fan of Halloween 2, and it's like I saw it go, but like it was one of the first ones that came to mind when I heard movie set at a hospital, but I immediately said no, fuck Halloween 2. But that was to its credit, that was one of the first things I thought of, at least, even if I'm not its biggest fan, even though the original is the greatest horror movie ever made.
That is fair.
They're literally all sitting here right next to me, so.
Well, I mean, Delirious jumps out at me if you want to talk about movies set in a hospital, but the thing about that is it's only like a couple scenes that are in the hospital, so I guess you would say that would be the correct answer for me.
That's what I said. I noticed, like, stuff on the Wikipedia, like, The Verdict was there
Yeah, it was.
on the Wikipedia list, and Yeah, there's scenes at a hospital. It's not a hospital movie by any means.
Let's see. Remember the documentary Branch or Lazy Voters? Which one is better, the Sing movies or Cats, AJ?
It's like Tom Hooper's Cats.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Oh well, I mean, in the Sing movies, let's be a little fair.
It's like Harold Ramis and Airhead.
Okay,
Is that right?
okay, so as it turns out, there are a lot of movies that are worse than the Sing movies, but I stand by my Sing opinion.
Lorraine also says, my qualm about Mitchell's, PAL is a great technology that's like a sentient being, and they didn't think to make it waterproof.
There's another one you can say spoilers for.
Kayfabe is real.
Sorry about your luck, Olivia Colman.
There's one at least listed on Wikipedia that I'd also give a honourable mention to in terms of hospital films, and that's Cronenberg's Rabid.
Oh yeah.
Put him on the
I got stuck. I was just thinking about the irony of the fact that in Mitchell vs. Machines, Olivia Colman dies by water, and in The Lost Daughter, she spends like all of her time on the fucking beach. That's really funny.
Yes, it's very true. Brian says the only hospital.
So Mitchell's versus the Machines in some alternate universe is the ending to Bloomin' Glass.
I mean, if you want to go there, if you want to remind me that a puddle killed Bruce Willis once.
That's great.
Oh, of course, there was also
spoilers.
There was that really shitty Bruce Willis like. I keep thinking it was based on the Nintendo game because it was called Trauma Center.
I know Hudson Hawk, but
no, it's one of these ones where he does. He's in the film for 5 minutes, but the poster and the trailer makes it look like he's in for the entire thing, because I guess he needs money to give to Demi Moore.
Jesus, this is why these shows go off the rails. Josie says Dead Ringers is in a hospital.
So Cronenberg's really in this conversation.
Apparently, yeah. The only hospital film I could think of, says Brian, is It's Kind of a Funny Story from 2010.
Which was trying to be the Cuckoo's Nest of its era and failing miserably, but it's not a bad movie.
I guess technically as well, Shutter Island and A Cure for Wellness. If we're going down,
that's
the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
If you want to go that route, yeah, Shutter Island's definitely my answer. I love that movie.
A Cure for Wellness seems to be really finding a fan base over the last few years. I'm kind of surprised. Like, I keep hearing about it more and more every year. Because I remember when it came out, I felt like it just kind of came and went. But I kind of want to revisit it with all the stuff I've been hearing lately.
And Brian says Luca has been said by many people as not one of Pixar's best. Doesn't mean it can't get nominated.
I keep forgetting it was Pixar. It feels like just like a typical Disney animation movie, which is the territory they've been in for a little while now. But then you have the fiasco that was 2012, where Brave should have been the Disney animation one, and Wreck-It Ralph should have been the Pixar one and gotten the acclaim. But fuck Brave.
See, that to me is weird because I thought Encanto and Raya were the Pixar ones, and it's the other way around.
Encanto very much feels like a Pixar movie. I'm kind of shocked that it's not.
Just looking at it, it looks like one.
So come to think of it, I don't know how this has never occurred to me before. Pixar movies are never musicals, are they?
Soul? Well, no, Soul isn't really a musical, is it?
That's your closest one, but no, they're not.
It's always the Disney animation ones are musicals.
Yep.
How did that never occur to me till just now? I mean, obviously not all of them. Like Big Hero 6 wasn't a musical, but
no.
There's a certain track record that Pixar is apparently not musicals that I'm only just figuring out. That's embarrassing.
AJ, Lorraine has a question for you. Your thoughts on Halloween's producer's cut?
I don't know that I have seen it. The only one I'm aware of having a different cut is the sixth one. Unless you count, Rob Zombie's bullshit. But if we're talking about like the original, I don't know that I have seen that. Unless I have like unknowingly, but I don't think I have.
Could
I'd be
also
curious. I'm curious to know what the difference is, though.
is WALL-E the closest thing that Pixar's done to a musical? I know because it overly relies on music.
It
Yeah.
relies on soundtrack, but it's not a musical.
But then, considering how there's no singing, how is the artist considered a musical? I guess just because there's no speaking and it's just music all the time.
Hold on, who considers the artist a musical?
Me.
That's not
all you hear is music, but when John Goodman talks at the end.
Well, ironically enough, it is Sunday right now, so talking about John Goodman makes sense.
Yeah. I swear he's doing the adverts for beds as like a bloody log over here in the UK. Like
Lorraine,
what?
I'm gonna get away from this. Lorraine says part 6 is what she's referring to.
Yeah. I've seen both cuts, but it's been so long I don't know that I could say too much. I'm always so disappointed when I can't give an elaborate answer. That's like the worst thing ever to
That's fair.
But I think the one that I have is just I got rid of the one I had because I found this one that has H2O and Resurrection in it, even though I have H2O by itself also. Yeah, so I have no recollection of. I know there's like a lot. I think there's a lot different, but it's a vague memory at this point. Because I've noticed that the Halloween series is like the one that I revisit the least of all the other slashers. Like they're not as rewatchable to me, but it's been a while. So I would like to come around on that, but I meant to do that around the time Kills came out, but I never did. But maybe when Ends comes out, I'll hopefully have a revitalized opinion of the series as a whole. Or at least the worthy entries.
So, interesting. Brian says, I thought The Lost Daughter was getting in for PGA, but the question is, which one will it take, being the Ricardos or Don't Look Up? I would say right now the latter, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised on any of those at this point.
Owen, you kept bringing this up to me, and now we're hearing it again. I think Don't Look Up is relatively safe in picture.
Yeah.
It's really low, but I feel like it's safe in there. Because it's also kind of like it's kind of become a bit of a pop culture phenomenon also if you're talking to certain groups, I guess. But because the thing that's what's pissing me off about PGA. I don't, because I've been on this Macbeth thing since we started. Right. And I think this is our first awards video since I've seen Macbeth.
Yes, it is.
And can talk about the fact that I had those impossibly high expectations for it, and yet somehow it's exactly what I wanted it to be. So my wanting it to succeed awards-wise is more off the charts than it ever was now. And the fact that being the goddamn fucking Ricardos is in here for some reason and it isn't. I really, 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 really want to believe being the Ricardos is number 10 at PGA, which means should something come in, which it should, whatever it is, being the Ricardos is gone.
I would.
Because you know what, it sounds weird, especially at this point, but to be completely honest with, and this might also sound, well, no, never mind, because they both got it. I was gonna say post SAG, but I honestly would put Don't Look Up in picture before I'd even put Coda in picture. That's how confident I am that Don't Look Up is gonna be okay.
Well, you're seeming pretty solidified on that when a lot of people are going the other direction, including myself. We had that conversation the other day. But I mean, if you were looking at, because obviously it's me taking out Being Ricardo's is not happening. But if I had to pick something else to take out, just based on visibility alone, if you look at the PGA lineup being the solidified final 10, Don't Look Up would be the first thing I'd go for. But it's a sucker bet at this point. So it's like, because everything else has a lot of visibility in various categories. Don't Look Up does, but it doesn't. Nothing major enough at this point. Well, screenplay, of course.
The only way, I know it had a strong showing with both of them getting in, for whatever reason that happened. But I would be more like, oh shit, Being the Ricardos is in this if Being the Ricardos had gotten an ensemble nomination.
I'm kind of surprised it didn't, honestly.
Yeah, so I just really, and I don't know how much of me thinking Being the Ricardos is the one that's just in here but won't make the Oscar lineup isn't my personal opinion coming in, because I try to keep that at bay as much as I can when we're doing this, but I mean, I can't put together what somebody would see in Being the Ricardos enough to say. Because you were even talking about, your argument to me was that it's an industry movie. Like, it's the entertainment industry. It's not movies, but it's the entertainment industry, and that's what they're relating to. But I mean,
right.
The problem with the movie with me is that it's not about the entertainment industry enough. Those are the strong points of the movie. And the other parts are underwhelming or just meaningless enough that it doesn't, that's the opinion of the movie I walk away with. I don't walk away saying like, oh well, it did have those great parts. When somebody says Being the Ricardos now, I just feel like, why?
Well, I mean, from the viewing I saw, which was a weird like early evening showing, everybody seemed to enjoy it. Like, for example, there was a lot of people that grew up with I Love Lucy, a lot of people that grew up on just in general, and they were really digging it. And honestly, at this rate, if that is the Oscar voter, which it easily could be, that could be a reason why that we're getting this resurgence for a movie that I've been putting over since August. Thank you very much.
Here's the other thing, though. Here's another way the movie drops the ball, though, is that when you talk about the fact that on paper it sounds like a great concept for a movie, especially a Sorkin movie, the whole bringing the McCarthy thing into it.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that could make a really riveting movie, except for the fact that the whole Lucy accusation thing is barely in the movie. It was built up this whole time and built up in all the press that's what the movie was about.
Right.
And it's like 10% of the movie, if that. And then you got the other side where it's like, the parts that I liked was everything surrounding making that episode of the show, the table read, and then them filming and her trying to decide what it would look like to an audience and stuff like that.
Sure.
And that feels like it's barely the movie. The rest of the movie is just their bullshit life that is not interesting at all. At least by the way it's portrayed in the movie, is not interesting at all. And I don't know how it's in PGA, is what I'm saying. Once again, maybe that's just a personal thing, but I was under the impression I was in the majority, but I guess in the industry, maybe not. Which is something you could say about Don't Look Up, where obviously when we talked about Don't Look Up coming out, and Rotten Tomatoes saying go fuck yourself, but my immediate thought was, well, Rotten Tomatoes said go fuck yourself to Vice too, and Vice got a picture and director nomination, and that Rockwell nomination that still baffles me.
Hot
so
damn.
Really,
you just set it up right there.
They really love their McKay, man. And
they do.
So like, it makes like, I don't agree with Don't Look Up being considered a top 10 movie, but it makes sense to me that it's here. It does not make sense to me that Being the Ricardos is here. It also makes sense that Don't Look Up is here because everybody in the fucking industry is in it. Like that's But this being Ricardo's thing is such a fucking mystery to me, and it turns my fucking stomach that it's here in place of Macbeth.
Oh dear
Yeah.
God.
It's like I feel I could throw up on camera right now if I said that over and over again enough times.
I'm just going to get away from this conversation. Brian says, you could say McKay for director, but if you had to see 2 Netflix movies get nominated in the category at the Oscars, because what else do I put Don't Look Up in other than screenplay or score?
Editing.
Yeah.
The editing and Don't Look Up fucking sucks. But it fucking sucked in Vice too, and they went for it. And that's as long as it looks like it's really, really edited, they will go for it. Even though even though most of the movie is cutting off all of its characters in mid-sentence, and even though McKay's big thing here is audiences are stupid now, people are stupid now, their attention spans are stupid now, but I'm gonna cut my movie up for the people that have those gnat-like attention spans for some reason. I don't know, but I do think it will get in editing, is what I'm trying to say.
Should we get?
I hope you're wrong. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I do too.
Lorraine says there's so many stats to keep track of, including ones that contradict each other. I don't know what to listen to anymore. Neither of us do at this point.
Yeah, back in like the 2015 era, our catchphrase on this channel pretty much was trends are always broken.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, it's difficult because it's like we're talking about, I don't want to get into tomorrow's conversation right now, but like Brian was mentioning The Lost Daughter. Given something I may, or AJ may, or Ashley may, don't really know what they did specifically. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Definitely know what Ashley did. Something that I may or may not have done. I would say right now that I could see a reason to put Lost Daughter in picture, but I can't justify it at this point as much as I could justify other things. But again, that's a conversation for tomorrow.
yeah, and I'll just say I did take The Lost Daughter out of picture, but I didn't take it out of anything else I had it in.
Right.
So
I added something to it, but I didn't. But picture is something that it dropped out of. Because I'm looking at my picture lineup from last month, and take a shot. Yeah, I dropped it out of picture.
that's crazy with how you think when they said that we were getting a solidified 10, you would think that they'd be like struggling to fill in those 10 slots, and it's like the fact that movies on the outside fighting to get in shows how not completely how strong this year was, but how many contenders there are, we'll say. Because some of these contenders are not strong movies at all. But
No, but I mean, as much as I dislike some movies that are on this list, I can still, like I mentioned before, like we talked about that tangent a little bit ago, it's one of those things that even if I don't like something, I can see why it's here, I can see why it's liked, and I can at least come up with something positive to say about it.
yeah,
Except for
it's
something
like
I haven't seen.
yeah, it's like we were talking about. It's really just a matter of which guilds you want to rely on, because like even though we were building it up the whole season, I feel like I was predicting it for picture for a really long time. What really feels like really propelled Parasite to its performance was SAG.
Yeah.
And so when you see that House of Gucci's striking out left and right in these big ones, it's still interesting to me just how hard SAG went for it. Like if it had just gotten, we talked about this in the other video, but if House of Gucci had just gotten an ensemble nomination by itself, that would have been just, oh, that's random. But that they went with Gaga and Leto and ensemble, there is a branch in the industry that loves House of Gucci,
Yeah, totally.
despite these misses in WGA and PGA. It was eligible for WGA, wasn't it? I've already lost track of the list.
I think so.
Which is a big blow, especially with how open those ineligible choices would have made it. So Gucci, I feel like, is the really, really big question mark, to where if it misses in picture, I won't be surprised, and if it gets into picture, I won't be surprised.
I mean, it's like this. It's like talking about SAG Ensemble. I mean, I'm kind of surprised if they went so hard for it that even though what AJ said withstanding, it should be there based upon how much they really obviously wanted to nominate it for things with getting Bardem in. And I feel like I was one of the only people talking up Bardem back in the day. And of course, I dropped my support for it, and it's like, oh, here it is. And Licorice Pizza should have got into SAG Ensemble, and it didn't.
That's interesting because, like I said, I've been feeling like Licorice Pizza is going to overperform.
It totally
and I felt
is.
that way for some time, and it's like weird that it didn't get into Ensemble, but I don't think that really sways what I was already thinking.
Nope.
So, because apparently I saw some people were surprised that PTA got into Licorice Pizza. And I know there's got to be more people than us that were saying from the get-go, of course, PTA's in this, without question. But yeah, I still feel like that Licorice Pizza is going to overperform. So we're good. There's no way that PTA is going to make all these really emotionally cold movies and get all the nominations he's gotten for his movies, and then make something that's as accessible as Licorice Pizza and has gotten the beloved reception that Licorice Pizza has. And that's what we were talking about, where I said my thing about why Parasite was going to win Picture the whole season was it has no detractors. You talk to anybody about Parasite, nobody hates it. I don't hear any. I don't think I've heard anybody say anything negative about Licorice Pizza yet. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but they're not vocal at all, and they're because they're probably very, very few. Oh, yeah. I'm just really.
We'll get to that.
That lorry stuff. I'm still trying to work out how they did that.
What's that?
The bit with the lorry, the truck running out of fuel.
Oh yeah.
Because my dad is like, yeah, for something that old, when the engine's off, literally nothing works, including the brakes. So I'm trying to work out, okay, did they just mute out the audio or something? Or did somebody actually be a badass and do it all?
Josephine says, West Side Story missing editing is the biggest blow so far. Brian says, I have Dune getting 10. PTA is in. Again, we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the editing and cinematography snubs for West Side Story are like really.
Should we get to that?
Those are painful for it. Not painful for me, but painful for the movie.
There's some interesting stuff in the supplementary guilds. I mean, the fact that in drama, No Time to Die made it in, along with Belfast, Dune, King Richard, and Power of the Dog. That to me is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I was hearing this thing about so even though Tick Tick Boom is in comedy, apparently West Side Story was in drama. Nobody can figure out how that works.
Which is weird because the actual title of the category is comedy or musical.
This person could be wrong, but that's what I heard, and there was confusion around that.
The list of the category, at least as I saw it on the actual Eddie Awards website, listed comedy or musical. Obviously, last year it was just listed as comedy because there were no musicals. So yeah,
it's insane how musicals made such a comeback this year. There is Robin, the Aardman short. Even that is a musical.
Yes,
I learned.
Robin.
I mean, one of the weakest things Aardman has done for a while, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, but you know, when Shaun the Sheep: The Flight Before Christmas isn't nominated for whatever reason, then again, apparently we've got. I'm trying to remember. We got. I think Chicken Run is this year. Chicken Run 2.
I keep forgetting it exists.
On Netflix.
I know it's out.
and then the new Wallace and Gromit, which will be Netflix everywhere, apart from the UK, in which it'll actually get a television thing. I think that's, from the sounds of that, the fact that it's going to be televised like at Christmas, it probably means it's going to be a short, like Shaun the Sheep and Robin Robin are, rather than a feature length one. I guess that's the Chicken Run thing instead.
Yeah, I heard it was gonna be like they were gonna try to find the same vein that they found with like the wrong trousers and a close shave and stuff like that.
Yeah, which sort of missed the mark with Matter of Life and Death. I don't think it was as strong as the other three. It was still good, but
Yeah.
So yeah, also with the editing comedy musical, we got Cruella, Don't Look Up, French Dispatch of the Liberty Kansas Evening Sun. Apparently, that's the full title listed on the editor's one, rather than just French Dispatch, along with Licorice Pizza and Tick Tick Boom.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was the official title until I got the Blu-ray, and that's in like really fine print underneath the French.
Yeah, Documentaries also interesting because, as I previously mentioned, documentary features got your usual suspects of Flea, Rescue, and Summer of Soul. Also Velvet Underground. But non-theatrical is where Billie Eilish comes in for her Apple TV World's a Little Blurry, which is interesting because, of course, that's...
You missed it. You missed a descriptor there. Billie Eilish's 2.5 hour Apple documentary.
Yeah, but the fact that it's considered non-theatrical, yet the Oscars are putting it in. You know, yes. now that I know that is 2.5 hours, I don't see it. I don't see it as any problem, considering also nominated is episode 3 of The Beatles Get Back. With, to me, episode 3 of Beatles Get Back is basically Bohemian Rhapsody. In that all people care about is the 40-minute live rooftop concert. So much so that this weekend they were doing IMAX screenings around America of just the concert.
It was like when the Billie Eilish started, because I don't really know much about her, but I was watching, it was like, wow, she seems like much more nice and humble than I would have expected, especially with all this fame. And it's like, oh, she seems like she'd be cool to hang out with. And at about the 2 hour and 10 minute mark, it was like, I'm so fucking over you, Billie Eilish. I never want to see you again. Not because her personality changed, because it just felt that long.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll probably feel for some people the same way with, the 3-part Beatles if they did actually watch it all in one go. Admittedly, they released it staggered sort of form. It's worth mentioning. I just want to mention the Beatles Get Back because it would be in the Oscars, but O.J. Simpson ruined it.
Yeah.
Even though they have done like 100-minute cut down version, which has been screened somewhere, that still isn't apparently being considered for documentary. So the closest I get is 2.5 hours of the Sparks Brothers. So then production design. Tragedy in Macbeth does make it in for period. So it does get a bit of recognition there. Dune in fantasy film. Alongside The Green Knight. Somebody knows it exists. Somebody knows. Also, interestingly, Ghostbusters Afterlife gets in for production design as well.
The fact that The Green Knight has not got a secure spot in production design or cinematography. That I know cinematography is kind of tough this year, but production design in particular, The Green Knight should be sweeping. Like, not even should be winning every production design award that there is. And that it's a little off the map is
I also find
grossly unfortunate.
I find it weird as well that in contemporary, In the Heights is in there, but not Tick Tick Boom.
I can kind of get that, because In the Heights is kind of more about the location and the place itself.
Yeah, but so
Because
Candyman's in there as well, though.
that's actually kind of amazing.
I mean, No
And
Time to Die. No Time to Die's in there, which, considering things that happen in that thing, and wide shots of certain things, I understand why that's in production design.
what a wide shot in No Time to Die. Which one? I wonder which one could you be talking about? I'm not really sure, but it's
See, I was gonna try and go that angle, but I'm actually gonna go like the one with the car chase
oh yeah.
from afar. I'm not gonna bait you into when we talk about it when we get to the Oscars when all bets are off, and then it's like, yeah, this happens.
It's like I know there was one shot that was just like, I mean, particularly explosive. Not to overuse that adjective.
For some reason, somebody was sitting on something as if it was Doctor Strangelove. Cinematography Guild, which will again please AJ because Macbeth made it in here along with the Dune.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about when you were gone, Ashley. It's like I feel like this is one that West Side Story really needed and could have very like the balcony scene alone. West Side Story could have scored this, and the way like the camera flows with the dance numbers, but at the same time, this 5 looks really solid. Like it's like I have in the back of my head like there has to be one difference, but I mean, I feel this feels like the 5.
But
I don't know what
at the same time though, that isn't the award that I'm most interested in because the Spotlight Award, there's only 3 nominees, but it's Titan, Pig, and Jockey. That's the more competitive because any one of the 3 could win.
I would think that's Titans to lose, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. Then we got the sound mixing, of which Spider-Man actually makes it in here, which I think is one of the very few things that it actually pops in on the guilds. Considering all the push behind that to try and get it recognised for everything, which, as we previously talked about, myself and AJ, what they did to BAFTA was, shooting themselves in the foot. But it's weird to see Power of the Dog and West Side Story and Dune accompanied by No Time to Die and Spider-Man for mixing. Where's the war film?
Yeah, this is another thing where they really screwed us on predictions. Is this whole? I'm starting to wonder how much I don't care for this combining the sound category of the Oscars thing.
I was just having a quick look at the sound editing stuff. God, that even the sound editing is gonna go all over the place because, like, combining the two, we have Belfast, Dune, Last Night in Soho, Matrix Resurrections, Nightmare Alley, No Time to Die, Power of the Dog, Quiet Place Part 2, Tragedy in Macbeth, and Spider-Man No Way Home. That's across both the effects and the dialogue mixing. Plus then put Tick Tick Boom in for and In the Heights and Ghostbusters for music underscore. Like there's a much bigger list than what there normally is, at least in terms of all the sound stuff. There is a possibility then that a blockbuster could make it into sound. Even though I guess Dune would technically be the blockbuster, but the fact that Matrix is pretty much in everything sound editing.
Yeah, that caught my attention, which is it.
And on the opposite side, Quiet Place Part 2 makes it in for all 3, but considering some of the subject matter for some of it, that does make sense. If it didn't make it in, it probably would be a fight. And then the visual effects, we've got Dune, Godzilla Kong, Matrix, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man. Which, you know, not to spoil tomorrow, but that's probably a strong enough 5 for it. Then again, it does make you wonder whether the supporting effects from stuff like Last Night in Soho or Tragedy of Macbeth could make it in, even though I don't think they're actually, none of them are nominated.
Yeah, there was the because the short list.
Yeah, the shortlist is all blockbusters.
Yeah, the short list.
Interestingly, from the Guild, there is no recognition of Free Guy, or Black Widow, or Eternals, or No Time to Die for that matter.
Which is really interesting because even though Eternals is by far not as good of a movie as Shang-Chi, I think Eternals' effects are better. So I'm a little disheartened that one's actually here over the other. By the way, I just even though it's like the way secondary categories, I just got to point out my love for how many times Jungle Cruise is at the Visual Effects Guild, particularly for Edgar Ramirez. That dude, that villain in Jungle Cruise that's made out of dripping honey, should have given it a spot here alone. You know?
I mean, that's
But
fair.
I love that the guild singled out the Edgar Ramirez effects, aka the reason Owen will never see that movie, because Edgar Ramirez's character is made out of snakes. But the effects are incredible though. So yeah, to look around the visual effects guild in the secondary categories and see Dune, Macbeth, and Jungle Cruise everywhere, it's like these are my people. The visual effects guild apparently.
And in Cruella, House of Gucci, and Being the Ricardos, and Eyes of Tammy Faye getting all the period recognition in the makeup and hair, and then contemporary, Coming to America, and No Time to Die, and Suicide Squad go across both the makeups and hair, so I guess they would probably be strong contenders. Because again, I can't remember the shortlist.
Well, that's what we were talking about too, about even though the second Coming to America is an absolute shit movie, how interesting it would be if it got the same 2 nominations that the original did, because it actually seems possible.
And look at Suicide Squad from years back, at least in terms of the makeup and hair sort of thing. I'm obviously you're referencing costume stuff as well for Coming to America.
Yeah.
The surprise for me in the contemporary, Zola makes it in.
Yeah.
You've got all these big films like No Time to Die and In the Heights and Don't Look Up and Coming to America, and then Zola just somehow makes it in. And then also Never Doubt Jacqueline Duran because Serrano made it in for period. Although I don't recognise most of the other names bar Jenny Biven for Cruella, so. And then, and Green Knight did make it in for sci-fi fantasy. I mean, it probably should have done, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of the schedule of the other guilds that we won't be talking about, I think the first one is Makeup and Hair, which is February the 19th. Yeah, I'm just looking. And then the other ones are all basically over the weekends in the first 3 weekends in March. So the weekend, if you go by the week ending on Sundays, week ending the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th. The Annies, the Eddies, the production design, the cinematographers, the sound mixing, the costume, the visual effects, and the sound editing. It's weird that I have to still split up sound editing and sound mixing, but apparently the guilds want to keep themselves to themselves rather than meld together. So yeah, in theory, we're probably going to have a few weeks off after the kerfuffle of the next week. Meanwhile, I'm guessing we've got a few people in chat with some comments.
I would guess. Lots of things, actually. Josie says, I know West Side Story missed Ace, but between Belfast Power and West Side Story, which front runner is most likely to miss out on editing nomination? Do you think it's West Side Story?
What are the choices there?
Josephine listed
Belfast,
Belfast,
Power of the Dog, and West Side Story.
Yeah.
I mean,
Between three of them.
I hate this so much, but every time the what's the least likely conversation comes up, my go-to answer is Belfast, and I hate that.
I disagree, but that's okay. We'll have that conversation tomorrow. Very happy French Dispatch made it into Ace Comedy. A Matter of Life and Death from the 40s is one of the best afterlife films. It has some of the best production design of all time. Speaking of afterlife films, a film this season with underrated production design is 9 Days.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend about 9 Days. Which
film with great sound work could benefited from 2 sound categories with The Killing of Two Lovers that has excellent sound work.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian says, speaking of honey, when the lava went all over Smaug and the Hobbit, the lava did look like honey.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's your show.
So the itinerary, I guess, the plans for the next week?
Well, unless something changed, I don't think it has because you haven't told me it has, AJ, but we've got triple Popcast network, like AJ content week, basically. So you've got today, which is our guild nomination discussions. Tomorrow we've got our Oscar predictions, and as long as nothing changes, Tuesday is going to be AJ's top 10.
Yes.
I know he's also got movies to review in the near future as well. So,
and we've got something very fun next week that I'm actually really looking forward to, which is something we always do. We're just doing it at a different time now.
Yeah. So you guys and girls out there, and I'll just might as well drop it right now. You guys and girls out there like it when we make our personal lineups. We're gonna do a top 8, so that's something to look forward to very soon. And I guess AJ, I think I'm under this impression that's going to be a live podcast, so everybody else can chime in as well.
You mean the if we pick the nominees and winners thing?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I assume so.
Heck yeah! So you guys and girls out there can chime in with your top 8 predictions.
Because we usually do that on Oscar Day, but since Oscar Day feels so far away, and we all are more or less as caught up as I think we could be enough to do this, I figured it'd be good to do a if we pick the nominees and winners thing just as its own thing the day before nominations day.
So it'll be a nice little popcast, and then of course the next day is going to be so the way the schedule works for me is I got to work at 10:30 that morning. So hopefully we can knock out the reactions early in the morning before I go to work. If not, we're all going to be waiting with bated breath till about 5 o'clock, which is going to be difficult, but either way, you're getting your reactions and your nomination discussion one after another to tie into the third video, of course, which is the if we pick the nomination. So that's coming up soon. Ashley's got more content coming soon from the Snack Stash variety, more gaming content coming in the near future as well. Lots of Ashley content. I have a ton of stuff on this iPhone that I still haven't put up. California. I've got ride-throughs. I've got voices content from back before we finally got back in the Rotunda. After almost 2 years of waiting, I'm finally back in the Rotunda again. It makes me so happy. And lots of stuff going on. I got a ton of sipping snacks that are coming your way. So we got AJ's got Versus coming back and got more movie reviews to do as well. So there's a lot of cool things coming up in the near future on this network. So stick around. We've got some really cool stuff to lead us into the rest of award season.
So I'm just trying to clarify. For those of you watching live tomorrow/today, whatever, coming up will be the predictions of all 23.
Yes.
Then next week, what do we do about the BAFTA nomination reactions?
I was thinking that was going to happen.
Yeah.
What day are they again?
I mean, the Rising Stars on the Tuesday, and then the actual announcements on the Thursday for like the main categories. You know, it doesn't have to be that day. Maybe it can be like Friday or Saturday, because I wanted to leave.
Saturday, probably.
I wanted to leave, obviously.
Tentatively speaking,
I didn't want to do
Saturday.
anything on the Monday, because then if we are doing live stuff or delayed live stuff on the Tuesday, I don't want to overwork us.
I really hate the fact that there is a very distinct possibility, depending on what time the actual Oscar nominations go off that morning, that we may have to wait till like 5 p.m. to like give our reactions to everything, which puts us completely behind the 8 ball on this. But we'll see what happens with the timing and everything. We'll try to go live if we can. If not, then you're still going to get the reaction, and then right after we'll go live for reactions and nomination discussion that we always do every single year.
Then, of course, we've got that sort of big gap.
Yep.
Until, let me just check. Yeah, end of February will be the SAGs and the PGAs.
Right.
And then March becomes March Madness again.
Yep. So yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. What we've waited since August for our official Oscar predictions. So we hope to see you guys and girls out there joining us. Josie says, always a pleasure chatting with you guys. We'll share my reading ventures and classic movie watches. Absolutely. Thank you to Brian. Thank you to Josie. Thank you to Lorraine. Thank you to everyone in chat, whether live or in archive. We really appreciate you joining us and helping progress the show along every single week here on the network. Ashley can be found on Twitter at AshesMyNameUK. And AJ, of course, just as always, is not on any form of social media. And just like Keith Richards, cannot be killed by conventional weapons. Needless to say, if you want to leave any comments for him, you're more than welcome to do so. And he will definitely respond to them in a video in about a year, because that's what he's done before, and he'll do it again. So lots of AJ content still to come. I have a ton of California content still to come. I have a ton of Sip and Snacks still to come. I haven't even filmed half the things. I haven't got water parks videos I haven't put up yet. So there's a lot of things still to come. And you can, if you want to, follow me on Twitter. It's at SirOwenDisney. That being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
This is brilliant. The best thing I can do now is put this over, because this is going to be the closing thing. Look. It's John Goodman as a fucking log. What the shit? What the actual shit is this year?